and I realized that the best kind of self-love is so difficult to implement.
Hi guys, finally back home. I am gonna make a tonic to boost our immunity. These are the ingredients I'm gonna use for this tonic: ginger, lemon. I got a bit of lime, so I'm gonna put in some lime too, but it's not necessary for this. Garlic, turmeric, manuka honey. I am going to take a shower. I've done with my washing up and getting my kitchen ready to be left alone for 1 week. Let's take a shower, watch the match, pack our bags.
It's been a while since I've sat down to chat with you. I have been traveling a lot. In February, I went to Vietnam and then I went to Malaysia and I'm finally back. And yes, I have actually skipped Chinese New Year. I mean, well, I'm not exactly skipping it. I'm skipping the actual day, but like we're still gonna go and do visitations and stuff, just not on like the actual day itself. So I want to talk about something. I want to talk about self-love, and we always associate self-love with things like wine and chocolate, a bubble bath, but I'm beginning to realize that self-love, the best kind of self-love, the kind of self-love that not only benefits yourself but also the people around you, and I realized that the best kind of self-love is so difficult to implement. So what exactly do I mean by that? I am someone who actually needs a lot of alone time and a lot of downtime to kind of think. I don't really know like what is it, but just to not interact with anyone. So like even if I am like beside someone, I feel like a sense of responsibility to kind of interact with that person, to make sure that person's okay, to make sure that person's alright. So that's why alone time, where I only need to care about how I think and how I feel, is actually very important for me to be able to function well. So if I'm not well rested, if I don't have enough alone time, I find it very difficult to dig out that energy to help someone feel comfortable, to help someone feel loved, to help someone feel valued, or to listen to their issues, or to just be a good listening ear. But the problem was I also had a lot of trouble trying to break myself away from my social setting to find that alone time and to say, okay, bye, I feel like I'm abandoning people. Okay, bye, sorry, I'm gonna abandon you for 4 hours. You're gonna be like alone by yourself and I need my alone time. So unfortunately you have your alone time also, and I don't know whether people really want their alone time, and so there's this sense of guilt about pulling away from the social group. And I think that this is something that mothers probably face a lot. Like, you know, you need your alone time, you need your time for yourself, where you kind of center yourself, know yourself, and have time for your own thoughts and your own feelings and your own needs, but yet you feel guilty about leaving your children. And I realized that, okay, so because I was guilty of doing it, I did not get as much alone time as I needed, and it gets to you. It starts to eat into your social life. Like when you cannot perform to your best, you start to become irritable, you start to become grumpy, and everything starts to take a very negative turn. Yeah, and so I realized that it really affects my relationship, especially with Ken, because he's the one I see the most. So if I am not in a good place, if I'm mentally not in a good mood, I'm not topped up, then it's very hard for us to maintain a pleasant and a good relationship, because I am just not ready for it, and then yet I still try to push myself to do it. This whole martyrdom thing, I don't think it really works at all. If we all wanted like to have really good relationships and to have interactions where everyone is ready to interact, then we would be strong advocates and encouragers for people to go and get their alone time, because no one wants to hang out with someone who is grumpy and irritable with you for no apparent reason, right? So I always think that that is really, really important. And I think that that's been a lesson that I learned, especially in February, that the best kind of self-love is the kind of self-love is the kind that is very hard to implement. For example, taking alone time, it's very hard to implement, but the results of it is so good. Or difficult things like going to sleep at 11 p.m. is so difficult. You have so many things you want to do, but it's also a form of self-love. You love yourself enough to tell yourself you really need this, your body needs this, your mind needs this, your whole demeanor is so much better when you get rest and you know, you don't get sick as often. And it's almost like being a parent to yourself. Like, you implement things that are not so fun but are actually really, really good for you. Or for example, having to stay away from milk and dairy and cheese, all these things, oh, sugar, you know, like all these things are really nice when you have it and when you eat it, but then like the effects of it make you feel really terrible. And if you really truly love yourself, no matter how hard you think it is actually more loving to yourself to remove all these things from your life, because the long-term benefits are so much better. Yeah, like the good things that come from this form of self-love / discipline is so much better. Recently I heard this phrase called the joy of missing out, and I think that actually that is so true. We always focus on the fear of missing out, but actually there is also a lot of joy in missing out a lot of things that are actually not good for us anyway. So yeah, that's just my short chit chat on the whole self-love thing, and I want to encourage you to really implement the kind of, you know, to have to think about it. You know, what are the things that you find hard to implement for yourself but are actually like the best expression of self-love? You know, things like having a difficult conversation that you have to have with someone. It's so difficult to do, but yet it's something that you really can really benefit from. I guess I just wanted to share this to encourage you and to encourage myself that even though it's difficult to implement certain things, even though it's difficult to, especially with career, I think for women we struggle the most with career and self-love, and because career and self-love seem to be on opposing ends, and I've seen it happen so many times, and I don't know why it seems like women struggle with it so much more. Or is it men just don't really talk about it, so I don't really know, or I don't really follow much men on social media, so I don't really know. But it seems like career and self-love, health really are at loggerheads, and a lot of women are facing this struggle of trying to do a lot of things and wanting to achieve a lot of things in their career, but yet their body doesn't respond in the right way. So yeah, I think have to think about what is truly self-love, and have an experiment, you know, like with yourself, to see what your body really responds well to. And also sometimes I think that we just have to accept that we can't do it all. So I'm gonna go shower and I'm gonna make dinner. This dinner is inspired by Yuka's video. Okay, so I have some radish in there, garlic cloves, and the stock of the Chinese parsley. And I have some mushrooms and vegetables because this is gonna be like a super detox meal. We're gonna use oat milk. So in the video she used soy milk, but I don't really like soy milk, so I'm gonna use oat milk. And then we have the organic miso, obviously, and tofu. The first time I made this soup, I actually had some leftover fungus, black fungus from Chinese New Year, our Chinese New Year reunion dinner, and so I put that in. It tastes really good. If you have some ginger, add some ginger in. I think the good thing about this dish is that you can toss in any like leftover vegetables that you have, and it makes a really nice, like, just very homely, comforting dish.